Well, I just saw something on Twitter that I think would be a good talking point to start. Uh, the Jay Sean Tate and D'Angelo Russell. I don't know if you guys saw, but a couple of days ago they played some pickup hoops together, and today someone posted a Photoshop of D'Angelo Russell and Jay Sean in Rockets jerseys, and D'Angelo liked the tweet, so like the Instagram post. So maybe we can start by asking, like, what do y'all think about potentially D'Angelo Russell coming here to play with KPJ and Jay Sean, among others?
It sounds like so bad defensively that I don't even know if it could work. Like I like D'Lo more than most people. Everyone considers him a terrible contract, but I don't think it's that bad. If he was surrounded by good defenders, it wouldn't be that bad. But we don't really have the good defenders to surround him with, so I don't know, dude. I wouldn't give up assets to get him probably.
Doran, what do you think?
I think it would take too much to get him. I think it would take too much to get him, and I also think that Minnesota probably wants to keep them together because they brought in Russell like partially to placate Towns because that's Towns' guy. Um, so I don't know if they're going to give up on that project this early on, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kind of talk about Green and KPJ as a backcourt wouldn't be great defensively. I think that would be even worse with a Russell pairing. So would it be interesting? Yeah, there would be some intrigue there, but I think overall, I think I would probably pass just based on what it would take to get him and the kind of roster makeup we have. I think it'd be better to just kind of go all in on a few more draft picks and build that way.
Yeah, honestly, I was hoping one of you two would disagree because then maybe we would have an interesting debate or something
Yeah.
like that. Because I agree. I'm not a fan of D'Lo's game. Like, I think he's a good player, but for the amount of money he makes and the lack of defense that he plays, uh, I just don't think it makes much sense to bring him to this team. Like, I think the only situation in which it really makes sense is when you're a competitive team and you need to keep your guys no matter what because you're contending. So you overpay your point guard because, well, it's either that or it works. For us, yeah, I mean, just too much salaries. Like, I don't see them having much interest in Eric Gordon, John Wall, Christian Wood. Well, there's no point of us to give him for D'Angelo Russell. So I don't like that idea.
All right. Can y'all see the chat?
Oh, you mean on Twitter or?
No, the chat in the green room.
Oh, yeah, I can. Like, yeah, we can see
Okay.
it. We just can't like talk. Well, we can
Okay.
chat. Like,
So I haven't seen anything in chat for 8 minutes. I don't know. Has anything been posted since 8 minutes ago?
just like when you said you can't hear anything on your.
Okay. Okay. So I can see it.
Yeah.
Xavier, thanks for posting that. So my chat is up to date. So does anyone want to get on and have an opinion about D'Angelo Russell? I know we have one speaker request right now. Matthew, do you want to comment on Russell? He's not put anything in the chat, so I'm gonna take that as a
Yeah,
no.
I
Should we?
mean, you can. You can just like bring
Oh,
it on.
okay. He sent another speaker request. I'm gonna bring him up. Is that cool? Ooh, Prod, your mic is super low now. All
Hello?
right, let's get Matthew in here.
What's up, everybody?
How's it going?
Hey,
First, how do you pronounce your name, DGC?
Itamo.
All right, I just want to say I'm a big fan of your account. I've been following for about a year now, I think. Even
Thank
on
you,
the,
man.
but yeah, unlike the D'Angelo Russell topic, I mean, it'd obviously be cool because like he's friends with Jason Tate, but like you don't bring in D'Angelo Russell obviously just because he's friends with Jason Tate. Jason Tate's not like he's not a player like that. And yeah, the defense and everything, it doesn't match. I mean, maybe you could hope in a few years Mobley could bring like you don't have to worry about your guard defense if Mobley pans out how you think he is. If we even draft Mobley, so yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the D'Angelo Russell thing.
Yeah, I don't think honestly there's much to elaborate because it just doesn't really make sense unless you just want to create the best pure hooper team of all time. Like get KPJ, get D'Lo, draft Jalen Green, just get buckets and I don't know, hope ball don't stop wheels you to a championship. Other than that, yeah, I don't think it makes much sense. Uh, what I was actually curious what you two guys would think is that I mean I've been pro of the I like the I've liked the idea of trading Christian Wood for like I have no problem with keeping him too. But I just feel like setting high on him or trading him for someone who fits the timeline a little bit better or may peak at the right time just makes a little more sense. So I was curious, what's the worst prospect in this year's draft that you would trade him for? Like, uh, for instance, if you say I want Jalen Green for him, or no other prospect, then it's the third pick. If I want Kuminga for him, then it's the fifth pick, and so on and so on. Because for me personally, I think the answer is like the seventh pick or something like that. Just because I think that if you do trade Wood, it ensures you a bad team for probably the next 2 years or something like that. And I just think that serves Houston's interest well. Uh, and the guy with Wood draft, like for me, one of the guys I want after the fourth pick are Moody, Kuminga, and Giddy. So I think those guys could really help KPJ, help Mobley or Green once everyone picks, and it will be better this way. But I'm open to hear your opinions as well.
My opinion is I saw a lot of people like slandering your tweet of like the PJ Washington and the Hornets pick deal. I don't
Yeah.
think that's some insane. I understand. Trust me, I love Christian Wood. I've watched every single game of him this season. It was awesome to see him like grow, and even like the beginning with Harden, how it felt to like kind of get such a good star on a good contract.
Yo, just to test it out, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Cool. All right, I'm set up for the night. You can
But
keep going.
oh, it's okay. But like, I understand 100%. I mean, he's on a 3-year, $41 million contract. Like that is perfect for a contending team. And you find a team that's throwing around first round picks and maybe a young player, it's not a bad idea. Or even like you said with like a lottery pick, if you can snag like a seventh pick and a solid young player, in my opinion, you do it. Because if we do end up drafting Mobley, I do believe Wood and Mobley can run together. But I feel like it would be a lot better if like Christian Wood wasn't running the four and you had. Sorry if you can hear my dogs here. I'm mute my mic first. All right, I think they're actually done barking already. But I think it would just be better if you found a more traditional four, not a Christian Wood who's like super tall and he's not really fit to like guard maybe like a he's not really fit to like guard a LeBron or anything. So, in my opinion, yeah, you take that. If you get an offer of a top 7 pick, you take that pick for Christian.
I mean, I wanted to I was on the other day. I was on the Rockets Reddit talking about that, and like you get massive like flame for talking like that. Like, oh, you're not a true fan or whatever. He chose us. Ultimately, he did choose us, but there's nothing that confirms to you that he's going to resign 2 years from now. And even if he does, he's probably going to demand close to max money if he doesn't fall off a cliff. And like it's like this. So you have an asset. Like ultimately, we're rebuilding and we're not close to being good. So you gotta talk assets. And like he has 2 years on his deal.
and if you can trade them, to me there are like two criteria you gotta meet. You gotta give us something for the now, because I don't think you can convince Fertitta to give him up for just future draft capital again. I think he needs something he can see and be happy about right now. So I think that needs to be a now part. That being a draft picker right this year, or a young player like Wiseman or something else, and then you can, after you have that now part sorted, you can talk about future assets to make up the value, you know. And I think I look at it like strictly from an asset accumulation perspective, because I don't think we're going to be good while his contract is this good. So his contract doesn't really matter to us because we won't use the cap space anyway. So yeah,
Yeah,
you can go. That's pretty much it from me.
yeah, I do want to say, like, I think this is not a popular take in my opinion. Like, like you just said, you get a lot of flack on Rockets Reddit for bringing that up, on Twitter as well, mostly. But I do want to say, like, Wood is awesome, and I don't want it to make it sound like we're trying to trade him, whatever. He is just 25, which is young. Uh, he's like the odds that one of the 5 to 7 picks in the draft turns into a player as good as him, they're not high. He just really is really good. A 20 and 10 guy, high efficiency. Before his injuries, his defense looked good. I mean, he's made strides passing the ball. He's gotten better handling it. Like we saw at the end of the season, he shot on step back threes. He managed to get the ball to close out games because Wall was injured, and he showed some promise in there. He played ISO a little more from the perimeter and not just post ups. So yeah, I like how he developed this season. I like how he fits with Mobley. I think like if Green is here and you're trying to be fun, I think it's going to be major help to Green and to Mobley if he's here, just because of his versatility and his ability to pop out for the free or dunk, be a dual threat, which is just really valuable and helps the players around you. Just that team control for me is the biggest thing. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2 years, and then you either he leaves or you probably have to overpay him, which again, not the worst thing in the world. He's a 20 and 10 guy right now. He'll probably get better. So not like I don't think you have. I don't feel like you have to take a decision to make a decision now. But if say you trade him for someone like Jalen Suggs, which is probably a dream scenario, but like Suggs would have 4 years on his rookie deal, and then 4 more years or 5 more years afterwards on making max money if he pans out, and just that is exactly the timeline for when Kevin Porter Jr. and KJ Martin are going to, really show out. At least that's what it's supposed to be, as well as the second pick. So I think it's something you have to consider. It's something you talk about, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and like I don't want people to think I don't like Cristiano. I was one of the people that were talking about signing him in the first place. I really like him. It's really he's really good. He's and the argument we're making is not that he is too old, because he is not too old. The thing is, when you look at him, do you think he can become the second best player on a championship team or on a contender? Because let's not talk championships. So I don't think he can. I don't think he can be the second best player. And if he can't be the second best player, he can't be a max guy. Unless you have a huge anomaly like your best player being on a rookie deal like the Mavs. And he's probably worth that, like slightly below the max if he keeps it up and if he improves defensively. But it won't be easy to build around it. And you can get, like, right now, another thing I don't like. I know I'm a bit late, but I don't know if we talked about this. Right now, he has peak value, so he showed out that what he did on those 20 games 2 seasons ago. He showed that he can keep that up. He showed that he has some upside, and he has 2 years left on a really team-friendly deal. So his like value as an asset will never be higher than what it is right now. Like next,
one sec. I'm gonna get Matthew. Thanks for coming. I'm gonna get our next speaker request up here. He wants to talk about Seawood a little bit too.
yeah,
That's cool.
All right, I appreciate
All
how Felipe
all
talk.
right. No problem, man. I'm gonna drop you down.
and like we're just finishing up. So next year he will be expiring, so you'll lose a lot of leverage, like we did with Victor Oladipo. Even though they're different, even though Christian Wood can help, will be able to help more at the moment than Oladipo could when we traded them. You instantly lose value once a player is an impending free agent, because the team probably can just sign him in the off season. So if we wait past the deadline, his value drops dramatically right away. So I do think it's a decision you gotta make until the deadline. I don't think that's a black and white decision. I don't think you'd be wrong by wanting to keep him. I really wouldn't blame you if you wanted to keep him in the team. All I'm saying is you have to understand that considering a trade is also not a bad idea. It's also a valid point. Just like Mobley or Green isn't a clear-cut decision, this is neither. We're just giving our opinions about it.
All right, we want to have our new guest, Thomas. You want to chime in on Seawood?
Yeah. So here's my opinion on Seawood, right? So I think it would be great if we could trade him for a pick, the Golden State pick. That would be great. I would have a problem with that if they need it. But I also view, here's my defense for Seawood and why we should keep him, right? I see Seawood as a very similar situation to John Collins in the playoffs right now, right? So John Collins, his contract is going to be up, and he's looking for a max extension. Atlanta to give it to him. But as we see in the playoffs, John Collins is a super valuable contributor to a playoff team. And I think flat out Christian Wood is probably better than John Collins. And I just think that he's valuable enough that we can keep him. And if we can come to that, like that crossroads when we get there of giving him a max contract or not. I think he's only going to get better. He doesn't have a lot of mileage on his body, right? Because he's been undrafted. He's the 15th man on the roster. He hasn't seen that much NBA playing time even this season. So I have no problem keeping him and just continuing letting him develop, because I know that when we start to make our runs into playoff like this Atlanta team, he is probably going to be more valuable than John Collins to this current Atlanta team. And, John Collins is playing out of his mind right now. He's not like doing the most offensively, but he's in the right situation. He's playing team basketball, and it's doing a lot for Atlanta and that team. And so if I envision our Rockets team being somewhat like this Atlanta team, like 2 years down the line, then I really think that we should just keep Christian Wood, let him gel with the rest of the group. And then when we make our run, I think that's where we'll find value in him. And that's my defense for keeping him and letting him play out his contract rather than trading him right now.
I don't know if anyone else wants to talk about it, but I think you're right. I think that's definitely a valid argument. And if you believe that we could be that good in 2 years, which you're in your right to, I think it's a valid option, and it makes sense to keep him and have him gel with the team and maybe become a leader. I think the difference between him and John Collins is that Collins became a much better defender, but we never know. Seawood might become that too.
Right. No, I agree. I think defense is a thing that is concerning, especially if we're going to make him play the center. If we draft Jalen Green, that's concerning to me. But I just think that offensively, Christian Wood is much more talented than John Collins, and John Collins has just been a really valuable contributor during these playoffs for Atlanta. And I really hope that our team can take the jump, especially if we draft Jalen Green, and if Jalen Green is and KPJ can be as good as Trey Young by himself. And we can kind of make that like surprise run in the playoffs. I really think Christian Wood can outperform John Collins, and because his contract is so cheap, I don't really have a problem keeping him.
Yeah, definitely. If you feel like he's going to resign here, that's like we're assuming he resigns even for the max here, which might not be the case if we are bad and he feels like he wants to win. But if you do have like if he says he wants to resign, we can even extend him this season, I'm pretty sure. If he it won't be the max, but we can extend them for I think 125% or something of what he's earning right now. Not that he will accept, but if you get the sense that he'll stay here, it definitely becomes a much easier debate to take. I think much easier risk.
I think in all indications, I think Coach Silas is building something pretty special here. I think all of our players feel really bought in, even though it was a really tough season on many accounts. You have all these players tweeting out how they love Houston. You have players hanging out with each other, Kenyon Martin, KPJ. You have players working out together in Miami. And so I think the culture is there. Like there's this internal desire that even though that the season was really tough on many accounts for the team with the whole Harden situation and with people in and out of the lineup, the people who know that they're going to be there, right, the core, have all bought in and they know what Silas's vision is. And so there is a desire to play for Coach Silas and be here in Houston and build something sustainable for the future. And so I think Christian Wood, if we treat him right and we take a leap forward in this season, I think he's definitely going to resign. I don't think there's a question about that.
Yeah, I think the point about Collins is a good one because, I mean, just how much money do you think he's going to get in free agency this year?
Collins or what? Collins. Yeah,
Collins.
I think someone's gonna max him, or if not max him, pretty close to it. Like the max for him is 28 mil right now. I think someone maxes him, and Atlanta doesn't really have any choice other than to
match it, right? Yeah. So I think they're gonna max Collins, but I think that's not a problem if they max him, right? Because he's demonstrated that he can play team basketball. He's not going to be a liability in the playoffs. He can really produce and be an effective, even though he's not maybe performing, his stats don't necessarily scream out like a max guy. I think that he, is helping them actively win games in the playoffs. And in Atlanta's system, right, because they have so much other young talent, you can afford to keep him and max him. And Atlanta also has crazy cap space, right? So
they spent it.
I thought they had more. They had more, right? Or
I don't think
so. I think the main problem with them matching it right now would be luxury tax because they paid $20 million to Gallinari. They're paying $18 million to Bogdanovic, $17 million to Capella. They have Lou Williams and Tony's now expiring, so that's $20 million they'll get back. So I think I think they'll be close to the tax, but I don't think
right. But they can also pull some moves, right? What I've seen from Onyeka Okongwu, he's
really good,
as good as Clint Capella, right? So I would sell high on Clint Capella, and a lot of teams would love Clint Capella as much as we love him as Rockets fans. Onyeka can be just as good as Capella.
Can he be the lob threat? I think Capella is a lot taller than him.
That's fair, but Onyeka has better touch around the rim, I think, from what I've seen.
He does. Another thing I think makes Collins worth the max for Atlanta is that he's the perfect fit next to Trae Young. He's a lob threat. You can kick out to the corner. He can knock down a three. He can defend pretty much like 2 through 5. So I think one of the things that makes him worth it is the fact that he's like the perfect high-end role player. Like he's so perfect next to your star that he makes it worth it to pay the extra like 10 million than what he like. I think on another team without a ball handler like Trae Young or James Harden, who really values a lot of threat and someone you can kick out to at times, I don't think he's worth the max to any other team other than Atlanta right now.
Right.
Yeah, I think I I asked why, like, how much money do you think he's earned himself really? Because I think like playing with Trey is amazing, and it definitely helps him. But he's also playing with Clint Capella, who clogs the lane because he can't space it, and then Collins can really, when Capella is on the court, he can really act as a play finisher at the rim at the same level, just
Yeah,
because of the spacing issues it would create. And yet, because his archetype is so valuable, then this playoff he's earned himself a lot of money, and I think Wood could do the same. Like if in 2022 or 2023 we get to the playoffs and Wood balls out, which he might do. I mean, there's a good chance he does because of how good he is and versatile. Then it would take a lot to bring him, and the trade value would be really high. I do want to say, I mean, this is Rocket stock and not Hawk stock, but I don't think the
Um,
Hawks should like trade Capella. No, I'm not saying it in that sense. I just want to add like to that point. So, uh, I
yeah.
think Capella was so good this year that trading him now would be a mistake. I mean, maybe next year you do it, but now, like, he was an all defensive level guy. He was borderline All NBA. He was the second best player on the Hawks, like, and he was close to trade the regular season. So I think trading him now would be kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, Wood is someone who could really show out once the bright lights are on. I think
I think if
people
they trade,
didn't really watch him. What?
you,
What did
you
you say?
go, you go, you finish.
Hey,
Yeah,
one sec, guys. Can we get another speaker up here? Thomas, you did a great job.
Yeah,
We have
I'm
some
done.
speaker
I'm good.
requests.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, let's go.
appreciate you.
Like if y'all don't realize, we tasked Don with reminding us from time to get another speaker in, because me and Ditamar would never remember to do so, and we'd go for hours
yeah.
without
I
remembering.
literally can't. Like for
Yeah,
me, it's glitch. I can see chat. I can see. I see the same five people in the room ever
Okay.
since the
yeah.
start.
So
Yeah.
don't hate on Don
Mine's
for interrupting.
yeah.
We actually asked him to do this, so yeah.
Yeah. So I can still see the chat fine. So want to welcome our next guest, Braylon. How's it going? You have thoughts on Christian Wood? You have thoughts on something else?
Yeah, what's up, Itamar, Prodigy, and Don.
What's
So,
up?
so first off, I just want to go in and add that, even though Atlanta did have, spent their cap last offseason, they do have 70 million in cap holds that they can renounce. Like they have 18 million of Tony Snell, they have 15 for Lou Williams, and they
Yeah,
can
but
renounce that, and
don't
it'll.
don't like I'm actually really like familiar with the CBA and stuff. Don't use the cap holds as don't subtract the cap holds from the total salary cap, because they're not that. If you look at the payroll for the Atlanta Hawks next season, they're at 93 million, and that's without John Collins, and yeah, basically just without John Collins. So he when they pay John Collins, imagine it's 28 mil, they'll be at 120 mil, which is like 15 mil or 18, maybe next year it will be 18 mil below the tax line. The apron line, yeah, the tax line is the same.
Okay. I expect the cap max to be a little higher than what it was this year because this past year was 112. I expect it to be high because I expect they would have
It will be
recovered.
like 2 or 3 or 4 more million. It's always like a small increase. Like
Yeah.
if we count an extra 4 million, it was 136 on 132 this year, I think, the tax line. If we count it like 136, they'll have like 16 million after resigning John Collins to a max deal, if they do, to sign like an MLE guy. So I think they're not like they won't be getting a max free agent, but they're fine. They'll be able to resign Collins and get another MLE guy in there.
Yeah, no. For the Christian Wood, but for the Christian Wood, I got like once again the whole idea of keeping him. One positive is yes, he doesn't have mileage on his body that a normal 25-year-old player that can do what he can do. So that's a plus. But a negative is do we want to build him around being that paint force? Because, and I'm speaking specifically on defense, just because. Yes, I think Jalen Green could have, and I forgot I got to throw in that we would take Jalen Green second pick. Yes, Jalen Green has potential to be a defensive, not a defensive, anchor, but he has the ability to defend because he has quick lateral movement. He has the length, arm, and height wise. Because I think he may actually grow up to 6'7.5", near 6'8", just because he's 19 still. 19 and Martin, and then ranging into the 20 age. So you got that. KPJ can turn it on here and there defensively, but I wouldn't rely on him to be able to hunker down and do some of the things that Harden was able to do defensively back when we won 67 games. But I think we should call Golden State. See if we can get 7. See if we can get 7 and Wiseman, and then we'll also throw in Eric Gordon, because Eric Gordon will feel something that they don't have off the bench.
Yeah,
That is
I think that's
And then you
really
gotta
good.
take Wiggins though. To match
Yeah,
salaries, you gotta take Wiggins.
yeah, we gotta take Wiggins but I think that's fine. I think Wiggins has more value to Golden State than he has to any other team in the league, just because there isn't a salary cap for Golden State. Their salary cap is infinite because their owners don't care about the tax. That's kind of unfair, but whatever. But I'd like to pick up on what you said and move on to some actual proposals for Seawood. Itomar, you mentioned what's your name? Braylon, you mentioned number 7 and Wiseman and taking on Wiggins for Wood and Gordon.
Yeah.
I think that's possible if Golden State doesn't find a better star to trade for. Because it's.
Hold on. I got one thing. So I've talked to some people, some friends, and we said the most obvious star they can get is Dame Lillard, but it'll take Wiseman 7, 14, Wiggins, and then they may want Jordan Poole in that too.
I don't think that package gets you anywhere close to Dame. Like they traded, I think, 2 firsts in the future already. Like I don't think they have the draft capital to make it work. I don't think Portland's really interested in Wiseman. I don't think it's happening. I mean, yeah.
It'll be. To me, in my opinion, it's only 2 teams that has the assets that Portland would want, possibly, and that's 76ers and Warriors. Warriors that have 2 2 lottery picks in this deep draft, and a young center that they can build around. And then I guarantee you, they can get a first with Nurkic, because I think teams are overvalue Nurkic and what he does, and I don't value Nurkic as much as I think other people do.
So on the Warriors part, I think the Warriors can definitely get in the conversation, just because, like James Harden, if Lillard says, I want out, I'm making it public that I want out, and I only want out to this number of teams, and one of those is the Warriors, I think it's possible. The Warriors can trade number 7, number 14. Then, because they owe a pick to the Grizzlies and in 2024 that has protections that last until 2026, that means they can trade 2028 next season, and they can swap and in 2027, I believe. Yeah, and they can swap in 2027. So that's not great, but that's something. That's like just like we thought for Harden, the Brooklyn offer wasn't great, but it was maybe not bad when you consider all the factors. So it could be possible, but it's also, do you really want a backcourt of Lillard and Curry? Will that work like defensively in the playoffs? I know that the offensive firepower is great, but and we're not trying to discuss other teams other than the Rockets here, but circling back to the Wood trade, Wiseman isn't making enough money, but you can make it close enough if you add one of their minimum contracts. It will be enough. Let me pull up the trade machine real quick. I think they have a guy that's really terrible that has one more year on his deal that they could throw in. 1 second. Yeah, I'm pulling up the trade machine. So it would work with Wiseman plus 7 plus, I don't know, Michael Mulder. I don't think this guy plays for them. He's 27 years old and on a 1-year deal. So I'd do that personally because I really like Moses Moody and he will probably be there at 7. I really like, I don't know, Kuminga might fall to 7. You never know. I think I'd do it for that just because of the team control aspect on what we're getting back. But do y'all have any like other teams? I thought the Toronto Raptors, but I don't think they're trading for unless we put something else on top. I don't know how deep you're willing to go when it comes to throwing assets on top of Wood to get to number 4. Yeah, but I'm asking if anyone wants to pick up on that.
I mean, I don't think Toronto. I'm not sure. Like, I don't think the Warriors would do the Wiseman for Wood deal with 7, and I don't think Toronto would trade 4 with. I don't if even if it's with Aaron Baines and Rodney Hood for Wood, because like Wood's trade value is high because of his contract. I mean, I remember seeing Bobby Marks post about it and how his value is high around the league because of, well, again, his contract and how good he is. But he hasn't proven enough. He hasn't done enough to warrant that kind of return, in my opinion. I think if that is indeed available, if 7 plus Wiseman is available, if 4 from Toronto is available, then you take it. I mean, for sure, but I don't think it is going to be available because, well, Wood hasn't, he isn't in that type of level yet of a proven all-star where you trade whatever it takes for him if you think it puts your team at the next level, which it might for Toronto and Golden State, but it's too much of a risk for them, in my opinion, to take this deal. If, like, that's probably what I would, I'm not sure if I would do it. I mean, I would probably trade Wiseman for Wood because I think you gotta give Steph one more fair chance, but they probably don't feel like it. I mean, the way they handled this season with refusing to run pick and roll because that's not what they did when they were healthy, and refusing to maybe trade for PJ Tucker when they had an exception to pick him up, or do many things that would just help winning, and they were like, it's not that big of a deal. So I don't know if you could really trade Wood for that type of return, which is why I did bring up 7. Like, Warriors maybe do it if maybe you can do some silent trade with Kelly Oubre and 7. Like, that's a deal. I think they accept, or if Toronto, I don't know about 4, but maybe the Magic for the 8th pick, if someone you like falls like one spot, or maybe loves Scotty Barnes, you could think about a Magic deal. The just maybe a 3-team deal, a 4-team deal, whatever. But with Wood trades, the problem is that you fans, like Rockets fans in general, probably want more from him than they probably don't actually know what the offers are, and because of it, they probably, like, if they actually heard the trade that I imagine are being discussed, they probably wouldn't take any, or at least the vast.
What about Wiseman and 14?
I don't know. I don't think I would take the like. I think we drafting Mobley. I think we should talk about it again to see if anyone's opinions changed since last
Oh
week.
yeah. Hmm.
But I even if we didn't take Mobley, like uh, w- I I would consider it, but I wouldn't do Wiseman and 14 forward, even if we take Jalen Green.
All right. Like if imagine if like you think Wiseman and 7 is that far away from the Warriors valuation that no future or current like the our late picks would be enough to even out.
It's possible. Like we could. I mean, if we send 23 and 24, or one of them, it's it certainly makes it more likely they take it. I'm just not sure what's the plan because for the Warriors, I think that what they're trying to be still is a model of the Spurs. I think they're trying to have an aging Steph, an aging Clay, and an aging Draymond, and put them with stars who will peak in like 3 years. Like you look at Wiseman this year, maybe they pick Scotty Barnes or someone they really like with high upside, and then they're like, all right, in 2 years we're gonna have a shot with the old guys, with a mix of the old guys and the core and the new draft picks. And then after the Steph and Clay retire, then we're gonna still be a good team because of them. So I think what they're trying to do something here, well, which is arrogant, I'd say, in terms of team building, like just go all in. Why do they keep the pick? Why is the Timberwolves keep picks there for so long? Why has Wiseman actually been drafted and not traded for, I don't know, for John Collins that we brought up earlier? I don't know. That's their agenda. But the Warriors are a little problematic as a trade partner because I'm not sure they actually want to go all in, and I'm not sure they think a guy who flourishes in pick and rolls like Christian Wood is the answer when they already tried that a little bit with Wiseman, and the main problem with that is that Draymond doesn't shoot, then he doesn't space the floor, and it's hard this way. But yeah, carry plus Wood pick and rolls like with a space floor, you don't guard it. You just concede, like you choose whether it's a two or.
Don't forget that Curry after like he has one more year of contract, so you're trying to get him to sign an extension. I don't know if he signs an extension if you keep hoarding these rookies. He seemed pretty frustrated last year with Wiseman and all the non Draymond parts of the team. So I don't know if you can get Curry to sign another extension since he is an expiring after like this year. If you don't make a move, I think it is possible that they just try to pull a Spurs and transition into the next dynasty without actually going all in one last time. But I think if they want to keep Curry, I don't know if they can without making a push because Curry is looking for one last deal, right? He's 33, I think, or 34, and he wants one last long deal, and I don't think any team would have a problem giving him that. So I think you'll have plenty of options, and if the Warriors don't pony up and spend some assets, I don't think he stays there.
Don, do you have something to add? Because I think we should.
We were going
Uh,
into Mobley versus Green
yeah,
again, right?
Okay.
yeah. Uh, I'm still Team Mobley all the way. Because well, nothing has really changed. That nothing has happened that made me want to change my opinion. Mobley is still the pick for me. I mean, what we've seen for the past week, I've watched both players play more. I've watched some full games, especially from Green, because I wanted to see more about him. Uh, and I'm too worried that Green. I mean, I think his end of the season and the way he developed for the season is really encouraging. And if I would say this, that if he actually went to college and then maybe I probably think highly of him, and probably the consensus is higher on him just because of how rapidly he developed through the G League season, which was like 11, 12 games, and you get I think what 30 games in college. So it would just be more practices, more games, more opportunities for him to develop, and for us to see him develop mostly, and it will probably be ranked maybe a little higher. But for me, the answer is again still still Mobley. The defense, like the versatility, the way he's going to be able to do everything in the NBA level at a high rate, like which I mean that's what he projects to be able to do. Uh, to handle every defensive coverage, like we've seen how in this playoff the teams who have been winning are the teams who are most versatile and they can do different things. They can score on all three levels. They can switch up coverages from switch to drop to hedge to trap to everything. And Mobley is just going to excel at all of that. So, in my opinion, he's still the pick. But Green has grown on me lately, and because I want to be prepared for the scenario in which maybe they take Green. I don't think it's happening. I think they're taking Mobley. But if they end up taking Green, like I think I'm going to be happy either way, which is not really something I could have said like a week ago. And I still believe Mobley is the right choice, but yeah, Green is.
All right. Can I make my argument for Green?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So if you're going, like, I've switched back to Green since, like, last week. I switched to Mobley briefly, and I since switched back to Green. So for this Green room, in contrary to the one last week, we're majority going to be Green gang. So yeah, you can go.
All right. So I'm on Team Green, right? Green Gang, because a couple reasons, right? Just I really think that I know that Mobley is super athletic, but Green, just watching him play, it's like his athleticism is out of this world, right? It's he can jump really really high, he dunks really really high. When he shoots his jumper, he gets up pretty high, right? And it's like not really. He has a little bit of a weird form. Green does, but like people aren't able to block him, and he gets off his shot so fast because of the way he like his leaping ability is just so like out of this world. And he's only 18, right, or 18, 19. I think that like just shot creation, he is by far. I think he's better than Cade, and I really think that really the way that he can score for our team, and it's not like a Jordan Clarkson level, and it's not like one of those like, oh, I play all offense, no defense. I really think that he can really become a really good two-way player, right? I know the defense still needs work, but I think that because of his athleticism and the way that his body, he's 6'6", he might still grow a couple inches, and he's 180 pounds, right? He's 180 pounds at 6'6". There's a lot of muscle that he can put on that frame to make him even more athletic and also become a better defensive player. And I think he can also really, really grow defensively under Silas, right? But I also understand that on our team right now, right, defense isn't, what's emphasized, right, with the players that we have, right? I think Tate's the only reliable defensive player, but Wood and KPJ are still complete question marks. So I get the argument for Mobley, but I think at the end of the day, I think the league is turning into a more like offensive players have more value than defensive players in this league, right? You look at Atlanta, you look at Phoenix. Phoenix is a great defensive team, right? But their offensive creation is on another level. Same with Atlanta, and they've been getting far in the playoffs. And I just think that's the way the league's trending. It's more offensive players have more value than defensive players. And I really think that Green can develop into a really, really, really special offensive player. Just watching him play, the number of moves that he has, it's mind blowing that someone who's like 18, 19 has the type of moves that he does. He's doing moves, he's doing step backs that Harden wasn't doing until his his MVP 2018, 2019 season. And so I really think that Green is the way to go. But also, if we draft Mobley, I wouldn't be surprised, nor would I be disappointed.
All right.
So
Can y'all hear me still?
yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna get Matthew up here.
Wait, let me just comment a bit
Okay.
on what he said. Give me
Okay.
just a second.
Okay. Go
Like
for it.
what made me to compliment. Like he talked more. What's your name? Thomas talked about more about the on court like thingy, more of the tangible part. What made me switch back to Green was like the amount that he got better at defensively and like passing ability wise through the small sample size we had in the G League. Like, dude, his coaches say the same. Dude is a sponge. Like, he got better so quick, and I think that's a really good sign. And what made me go back to Green is like, I know this guy is going to work his ass off every single day to be a star and to be in his mind for sure the best to ever do it. And Mobley might be like that, but we don't know that yet, and we know that that's the case for Green. So it just, to me, like every time I think about it, this hard-working, strive to be the best attitude is most of the time what makes a difference. Like
Yeah,
all of the guys that pan out have this, and like I think this should be another in a category of itself in the draft report. Like, add value this kind of attitude and this kind of like desire to be the best. I'd say that's like 40%, and that's a really big number, I know, of what's going to determine your success. Like, you might be really talented, and we've seen players that are really talented that just don't get to that next level because they're not hardworking enough, and they can't back up their talent with their work.
And for the Green going to college argument, right? Like, I understand that, obviously if he went to college, he would have his stock would have shot up more. But if you watch his interviews and they ask him like, why did you go to the G League instead of college? Because in his mind, he always knew that he was going to play in the NBA, and he knew he wanted to be the best at the NBA, right? So you wanted to get a head start. And if you're prepared that way, right, for NBA defenses playing against NBA level players, right, or lower NBA level players. And really, the thing that really clicked for me, if you have time, go watch this. If you go watch, when there's the ESPN guy, right, who does the drafts, Mike Schmitz, right?
Yeah.
He had an interview with Jalen probably back in March, and he was like breaking down film with Jalen, and Jalen like was accepting of a lot of criticism, and he knew what he had to do to get better, right? And he has this type of like hunger and humility that is, I think, going to get him a lot of places. And I think Houston, with, I guess, just the fact that like everybody's on the same page, right, from Stone to Silas to the rest of the players, right, they're all building something. I think they're gonna really give him like the platform to really take off and become like this offensive superstar that is really incredible and just a sight to see.
Yeah.
And just so,
and
right.
The fact that like we see a lot of players say, "Oh, I gotta get better at this, I gotta get better at that." Then there's the Ben Simmons type that don't have to get better at anything because they're already an all-star. But even amongst the players that do admit that they have to get better at something, and we saw Harden do this sometimes, there's a difference between identifying what you need to get better at and actually getting better at it. And we saw how quick Green got better at a lot of things from the first game he played in the G League to the last game he played in the G League. Like, I'd say he's like he improves like 20% of his game. Like, it was like really impressive. And to think that it did that in like whatever amount of games, that wasn't too much. I'm so intrigued by what he could do once he got to the NBA.
Right, and he was. I agree with you completely. Right, like at the start of the G League, he was kind of lost, But at the very end, if you watch his last games, he's making like NBA level reads. He's passing off the pick and roll. He's doing stuff that like, you know, he progressed so fast, and he was doing stuff that like a higher level NBA player was doing at just 19, right? With, you know, 10 G League games under his belt. And it's just so, I think the potential is enormous. His ability right now is already off the charts. I don't know if, you know, if it was between him and Cade, I don't know who I would pick first, but I know that Jalen Green has very, like, I think Jalen Green just has like better advantages in a couple areas, right? He's more athletic than Cade Cunningham, for sure. Both have similar shots, but I think Jalen Green's shot goes off a lot smoother than Cade. He just, again, the way he jumps, he can get like a little bit of airtime. He jumps higher than Cade. Cade's not like really that athletic, but Green can really jump and really get off his shot like really, really fast. And it's just the way he drives, he navigates defenses, the way he can hang in the air. I think Cade probably has, you know, the better physical tools, given that he's a little bit taller than Jalen. But Jalen, again, he's 6'6", 180 pounds. There's a lot of time for him to fill out his frame and really become a special defensive player as well.
I strongly disagree. I mean, I think Green is a great prospect and he's going to be such a dynamic offensive player and scorer. But it's so hard for me to imagine him becoming more than Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal is a top 15 player. He's really, really good. He's not a superstar after all. And maybe Green will be better at the little things that help Beal, that would help him win more than be a better floor raiser than Bradley Beal. But I I really struggle to see Green becoming a real superstar, and be, just because of his archetype is pretty much a pure scorer, and we've seen in the playoff how much pull-up shooting matters and how much you have to be able to shoot. And well, Green is excellent in that, but I just don't ever see him becoming much more than a scorer. And with Mobley's archetype, just because of how how good he's going to be defensively, how how much of an off-ball threat he's going to be offensively. Like I think for a big one of the biggest things that I think helps Anthony Davis and Kristaps Porzingis become one of the best bigs offensively is the absurd catch radius they have for lobs, especially in Davis's case, and the ability to shoot, the ability to do stuff off the ball have that make the defense focus on you, while your ball handler creates advantages and just makes the job of everyone else so much easier. And I don't think Green will ever get to the level where if he doesn't have the ball, he makes life of his teammates that much easier. Again, not because of Green, but because of how good Mobley is going to be at that. And one more thing is that I don't think Green versus Cade is close,
Yeah,
to be honest,
I don't think that's a
because
debate. Yeah.
yeah, just I mean, I hear you on the athleticism, on how much athletic Green is and how much the shot looks better. He's a lot he's smoother. He's more dynamic. His burst is much better. But like right now as a scorer, I'd say they're pretty close because well, being 6'8" against 6'5" like really helps you, and you got the elite being one of the best passers in the world, an incredible defender, a great rebounder, great feel for the game, IQ, and I think Cade is like without a doubt the best prospect. However, if Troy Weaver is listening, then I think you're absolutely right, and Green is the better choice.
Yeah, and you said you don't think Green will be able to create chaos without the ball on like and the way Mobley will, but I think that's essential for Mobley and not that important for Green, just because Mobley will be mostly an off-ball guy, and if you're going to hold that against Green, you can also hold against Mobley the fact that most likely he'll never be half the creator by himself that Green will be. And I think
Yeah, but how is Green like going to add some incredible offensive value if he's not, you know, if he's not such a threat off the ball, and if his
I
creation,
mean
like his
his
on ball creation and playmaking, never. I mean, he's going to have to take massive leaps there, and
So
maybe he
Right,
does. I
right.
mean,
So
he's
so
an
I
incredible
so this year
worker, but
that's why it's important, right? So I don't know if we're gonna get off the John Wall trade, right? So if John Wall and KPJ are the backcourt and you play, I don't know what Silas is gonna do, play Green at the three sometimes, right? Then he has to really work on his catch and shoot. But that's
I don't
the
think
real.
it's too bad right now. Didn't he
he
get better
I
at it?
his
my point
slashing
is
is
that
very good too. Like his
Yeah,
slashing
I
is a
think
really
so.
strong point of his game. He's a great finisher at the rim. So I think
Yeah.
that can be another area where he provides
right.
off ball value.
And
And then
I have
also Green shot, I think 37% from the G League from three,
Yeah.
right? And
Um
that's a pretty noticeable too.
so
Like
I've
that's impressive.
posted I've posted about this a couple times, but like if you watch a lot of his clips, you'll notice like he'll catch the ball and then go into a triple threat a lot of times and then end up shooting it after just kind of holding it for a second. And when he just gets the ball and goes straight up into his shot, it looks a lot cleaner and he has
Right.
a lot better
yeah.
like catch and shoot percentage when he goes into that. So I think that's something he can do a minor tweak on and it'll really help his percentage because he's probably not going to be asked to create as much with Wall and KPJ there. If we were to take him, he'll be, like we said, mostly off ball, and he'll get some creation time, but I think he won't have to be looking to create as much. He can focus on the off ball aspect of it.
I think whatever like I think defensively I have no trouble believing that he'll become a good to great on ball defender. I do think he gets lost a little bit, but I think someone as hardworking and as excited about the game as him, I think you won't have any trouble picking that up in the next level. Like if you believe Wood can do it, I have no problem believing 19-year-old Jalen Green with an incredible work ethic can do it. I think like I one of the things that makes me really excited about him is that the sky is the limit, and for someone who works that hard, I don't think there's a single thing you you can tell that he will never pick up. Like I don't think there's anything you can discard right away for his career. You know.
All right,
And
can we get some closing thoughts from Thomas real quick, and then we can get Matthew up here. He's been waiting for a
Yeah,
yeah,
minute.
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
So
Matthew.
So
you get
I can jump off, but I just
okay.
I also wanted to ask Disney Gary Clark this. Like if Green in his eyes is just going to be a Bradley Beal, right, which is a top 15 player, leads this league in scoring, then what do we imagine Evan Mobley to turn out to be? Is he Anthony Davis? Is he? I don't know. That's what I can't picture in mind. Like I know like Green is as a surefire thing is gonna be an amazing scorer, but I just have so many questions about Mobley and his archetype in NBA. Even if there even is one, and if that archetype is going to be similarly a top 15 player.
I think he's gonna be AD lights in a lot of ways. I mean, just watching the way Anthony Davis destroys opposing offenses, especially in the playoffs, he just stands at the side and he completely shuts down that side of the floor because of how amazing he is. That he's so long, he's so smart. Teams are scared of challenging him. Mobley, in my opinion, when he reaches his peak, is going to be one of the absolute best defenders in the league, if not the best defender. I think he's going to be a nice post hub. Like I've seen a stat the other day that most bigs, like what you're looking for from a big in terms of being willing enough to pass the ball and not being just a black hole in the post, is that he has 2 times shot attempts against passes. And for Mobley, he has more passes than shots. And I think you can look at it both ways. I look at it personally as more as a positive thing because he's probably not going to be an elite post scorer, but he's going to understand it. He's going to be a great player you can throw the ball to. You can let him make reads. You can have him initiate the offense like you have Bam. I think that like Bam as a comparison, I think he's going to be Bam Adebayo, who's 2 inches taller, a little less stronger, with a much better shooting touch and finishing ability and more confidence. And those are the things Bam likes the most. Like he's a great mid-range shooter, but he doesn't take advantage of mismatch that often. He doesn't shoot threes. And I think Mobley is just going to be better at the things Bam is great at because he's going to be taller, smarter, longer, and he's going to be, in my opinion, he's not going to have the limitations Bam has because it's just unlikely that he's going to have the same confidence issues, and he's already shooting more threes than Bam ever shot.
I mean, like the thing you said about Mobley's ratio between shot attempts and passes from the post, I think that's mainly because in college he was like so much more gifted than everyone else. I mean, you can see in the draft, in the mocks, how many bigs there are compared to guards. Like
I
I
mean,
think he
doesn't that
was.
make it
This,
more? Doesn't shouldn't that make it that he shoots more because he can dominate
well,
instead of
this
No,
is
passing?
I mean,
this
he
is
gets
definitely
double
a
team.
weak class for centers. Like me and Prod did
Yeah,
like the mock draft again yesterday, and I realized as I was looking through the team by team as we were picking, like there's not a lot of center depth in this draft at all. Like if you want a center and you don't get Mobley, you're probably going to have to reach, and you're going to be
yeah.
reaching very early. Like people in the top 10 will be reaching for a center if they want one.
And
So
what I meant was like I'd say like he gets a lot more passes because he gets double teamed a lot because he's a lot more of a threat at the college level than he will be at the NBA level. I think when he gets to the NBA, he won't get double teamed as much, so he won't have as many opportunities to pass because more NBA players will be able to stop him in the post by themselves, not needing the double team. So he will have to showcase that a tougher post game than I think he's shown in college. So I think that ratio, while it means that he can pass out of the post and that he has that in his game, I don't think it will be as relevant at the NBA level because he won't get double teamed as much.
can we get an opening statement from Matthew? You waited a long time. You want to
Hi,
chime in
Matthew.
Yeah.
here?
What's up,
Thanks for
everybody?
coming up. Thanks for waiting.
Oh no, it's no
That's
problem.
it.
Right now I'm Green Gang, as some people call it, but like honestly, probably after I'm gone, I'll probably be Mobley Mob because like you can't go wrong with any of these prospects. Like we are so blessed to have the second pick, but
Yeah.
the reason why I'm currently Green is because, like y'all said, a top 15 player is something you want on your team, no matter what, and like it just feels right to like take Green because of the fact like he is the safe pick, so called. Because like I feel like everybody can agree that like Jalen Green will be a star in this league. Like obviously you
I
don't know
mean,
about injuries and all that,
uh, like
but
probably I think he's going to be that, but like I think he also has to get. I mean, he's gonna have to get to the line. He's gonna have to get much stronger. He's going to have to improve in many facets that he probably will. Because I mean, looking at his work ethic and all of that, but I wouldn't say like it's such a show thing compared to Mobley at least, because I think both guys are really great bets to become top 15 players just because of how good.
yeah, but oh yeah, Evan Mobley is just like he has like the AD comparison is there, but like he is like you. I think you tweeted this out earlier tomorrow. He is a unique prospect. Like these type of players don't come around often, which is probably why like if we take Mobley, I'm not mad, or if we take Green, I'm not mad. It's like Green though. I feel like you need. I believe Kevin Porter Jr. will continue to develop and develop, but it's honestly no promises in Kevin Porter Jr. like that he will develop into a future star. As like I hope he does, but I feel like Green, if you can get that pure number one scoring option like the Suns have right now currently in Devin Booker, and you need that on your team if you want to win a championship. I feel like Mobley, he I don't know if he can be the best player on a championship team. And that's just my opinion. But
So I want to jump in right there. I think someone was talking about this the other day, right? So I don't think Mobley will be the first offensive option on a championship team, but I think there is a world where he could be the best overall player in terms of offensive and defensive impact put
Definitely.
together.
And like a Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Obviously, they haven't won a championship, but I see what like some people think Rudy Gobert is better than Donovan Mitchell. I
Yeah,
see what you're saying.
yeah,
Think Tim Duncan, maybe.
yeah. Well, Duncan was pretty good offensively as well, but I think he
Yeah,
kind of
but
gets slept on there a little bit. But his main impact was absolutely on the defensive end.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just my opinion on Jalen Green and Evan Mobley. I mean, honestly, I try not to do research because I didn't want to get my hopes up before the lottery. So this is just based off of a week and a half of research since the lottery. But
like, yeah, you were going. Sorry, I thought you were done.
oh no, you can talk. It's all good.
Like another thing that made me switch back was I think the sky is the limit more to Green than it is to Mobley. I have more trouble. Um, I have more trouble imagining Mobley becoming a good at creating his own shot than I have at imagining Green becoming a post defender. I think Green's ceiling is also more reachable because from day one, people will know what he has to do to be that guy, to be like not Kobe, but Kobe-esque in the sense that he's a good defender and also the main guy on offense. On the other side, when I think Mobley, I think, and I brought this point up last week. I think there isn't like he gets here, he won't have like I mean he will and he won't, but it won't be crystal clear what he needs to be the best guy because he won't be able to create offense for himself at least in my opinion. And I think it's hard to pick someone, at least in my like really prehistorical NBA mind. It's hard to pick someone who can create his own shot as well, like reliantly, and I don't see a way that he will be able to, other than his post hooks, and I don't think that's reliable at the NBA level. So I don't think there's been a star that relies on that in the past few years.
I think Mobley
I
has a
mean,
decent pull-up mid-range shot. Like when I watched all of his shot attempts and stuff like that, it's one thing that really stood out to me. Like he can get to the elbow and hit that shot or the free throw line pretty consistently. But I think getting like a lot of times teams are just kind of letting him walk into that shot because
Yeah.
they didn't want him getting all the way to the rim. So it'll be interesting to see how he's guarded there. But I
And
think that is one area where he can get his shot off with like a mid-range elbow type of jumper.
but do you want that
yeah,
to
I mean,
be
I think,
your main like your best player's main offensive threat? Like that's not ideal, I'd say.
Probably not. Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
not going to be as consistent as someone who has like a deep bag that Jalen Green has, or Kevin Porter Jr. for that matter. But
I mean, just like the thing with Mobley for me is that I think you're mostly being scared of the unknown. Like
Yeah.
you look at Mobley, he, I mean, he's got elite size, elite length. He's got a fantastic touch. Really, he's got an extremely high release point, good passing, really good IQ. He's got a handle. Like I think there's a world in which Evan Mobley takes threes off the dribble, for instance, because it's gonna take a lot of confidence, a lot of work, but you're not going to block his shots like ever, pretty much. And because of that, and because of how good his touch is, and the jumpers looks pretty good already, although again he has to work on it. But I think the ceiling with him, again, because he has so many ways to become a fantastic player, and even if like say a 75 percentile outcome hits, that like that's probably not for sure, not certainly, but probably a better outcome than Green. I think also people are overreacting to how much time it's gonna take for him. I mean, he's 7 feet. He's extremely smart. I mean, again, length, extreme catch radius. He's gonna have a shot immediately, at least for mid range. It's first time in the NBA. He's going to have good handle. He's able to take the ball up the floor. Defense is going to translate his IQ, his shot blocking. Like, the way I see it, it's just that you have a player who you know who he's going to be, and you have a player where you don't know, but the player that was one of a kind is just he has the potential to be so much better. And I also think he's safer because maybe Green, like I think they're equally safe kind of because Green, he has a lot to work on to be uh, a good scorer. Because I mean, for example, I think for the first half of his rookie season, just getting used to it and like strength issues is probably not going to be the most efficient, the most impactful because again, scoring matters a lot. But if you're not going to be an efficient scorer, you're probably not going to help winning if you aren't contributing in other ways. And I think Mobley is the best bet in the draft other than Cade to be able to contribute in other ways than scoring while also being a very efficient scorer because of how good of a touch he has and how effective of a finisher is going to be.
I think like some of the skills you highlight for Mobley, I have trouble like the handle you mentioned. I have trouble like imagining a world where you can reliably trust his handle to create issues on offense. Like I know it's good that you center as an handle.
Yeah.
I think it's good in transition. I think it's good in some scenarios, but ultimately most of your offense won't be relying on your center having an handle. Just like when Christian Wood is playing, you're not quite relying on he can dribble, he's a big that can take it coast to coast, but I don't think you rely on him and his handle to create
Yeah.
any sort of like discomfort for the defense, and also, um, but on being a little Mobley sided now, I think Steven Silas is definitely the guy that will explore Mobley's talents the most, seeing what he did with Kelly Olynyk, who offensively is a really versatile big, you know. So I do think Silas is the perfect guy to explore Mobley's ceiling. I'm just I just have a tough time believing he'll get there, and I have a lot easier time believing Green will hit his ceiling.
So for me, Mobley's handle, I think it's like an opportunistic handle, right? So like when he has a lane that's clear, he can like take advantage of that. Or if he has like a mismatch, like he has a slower guy on, he can take advantage of that. But like you said, I don't think that you're gonna want you have Mobley switched on to like an elite wing defender. You're gonna have him creating off the dribble as much. Um, Matthew, do you have anything to kind of wrap up here? I'm gonna get Zion up here next.
Yeah,
Zion.
Wait, you
and
got Zion here? What?
I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering his name, but Zion maybe Z
yeah,
I Y N.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get him up here
I
up
think
next.
the
Yeah.
trade request is going to happen.
Okay. There you go. All right. So
my
Matthew,
last
you want to
thing
wrap up real quick?
about Green versus Mobley is just the fact that like it, I think Isomar literally hit it like perfectly. Like I am very scared of the unknown of Evan Mobley like not panning out, and I'm so much more confident that Green will pan out to his potential. And I think that's just the main thing that because if we had like both of their ceilings, Mobley is 100% the better prospect if both of them hit their max potential. I think everybody can agree on that. But it's just there's a lot for Green, in my opinion, for him to reach his potential. It's a lot more likely, I mean, for Green to reach his max potential than it is for Mobley. And I'm just scared, honestly, of like having. I don't think Mobley's going to be a bust, but like somebody that doesn't live up to the hype in a way. If you know what I'm saying. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's just my final thoughts. I appreciate y'all for having me.
All right. No problem.
Well,
Thanks for coming in. Oh,
well, we've
want
pulled
to respond real quick?
we've pulled the next guy in. I just
Okay.
wanted to say
Okay.
something. So there's also the thing that
Drop him
Mobley is
down.
going to have to face a lot more adversity probably than Green will, because I think year one Green will be able to show more, and he has the attitude to, even if people are shitting on him, to grind and feel like have a chip on his shoulder and feel like the world's against him and work through it. I don't know if Mobley has the willpower to pre-criticize, because we know the fan base will criticize him heavily if he comes out the first year and he isn't that good, you know, because we're a big fan base. It's just how it works after a bad season. I'm not sure Mobley has that fire to be put down by his own fans and work to be still his best self under all that pressure. Hi, Zion.
All right.
What's up, guys?
How do you
Th-
pronounce your name, first of all? Since
Yeah,
we were butchering it.
you pronounce it Xeon.
Okay, Xeon. Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine though. I mean, growing up, people have called me Zion, so I'm
Okay.
cool with whatever.
Could be a
But
worse comparison. They could be comparing you to somebody who's not, dominant in the post and super athletic. So,
oh
all
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah,
go
for sure.
go for it. Go for it. What do you want to
Um,
say?
I'm Team Mobley here. Um, for me, it comes down to like just what Itamar's been saying about how special of a prospect he is. And something I guess like that, I guess not want to push back on, but something I guess I don't understand is people saying Green is kind of a safer prospect. Because to me, like Mobley comes in with so many like things that he's great at. Like for example, PD Web, right? Like I respect a lot
The
of what PD
GOAT.
Web says because he's had yeah, the GOAT. He's had so many years of just like experience and just like technique, and he's really smart at what he does. So something he spoke on was how Mobley's an A minus on so many different things, and like during his last film room, which was 2 hours, they talked about how offensively something that Mobley struggled at in college was his screening, and how like he left so many points on the table. And to me, like they talked about how even though he is slight and he isn't like a big, a huge person, right? Like we know his frame, he can still employ so many different techniques to add on like to his roll game whenever he screens. And like to me, like that's really important because if we're gonna talk about Mobley, like we do have the fear of, let's say, him, his worst case scenario to me would be being a great roll man. So because of that, because of like the screening and just like the athleticism he has, I think that overall Mobley's just gonna be a better prospect than Green. But I'm
Yeah.
definitely
So,
fine with
so for
One,
me, right? Like, I don't think that Green is necessarily the safer pick. I think Green has probably a wider range of outcomes. I think kind of like what you touched on, like for me, Mobley is the safer pick because he has a lot of transferable skills that are gonna be there right away, right? Like he has a baseline level of length, he has a baseline level of athleticism, he has a baseline level of basketball IQ that's really well. His block timing is very good. So I think he has a lot of things he's gonna come in with a good foundation that's gonna give him a higher floor for me personally.
right.
Um, I think Green, he also has like a good scoring floor, but I think there's a lot more, what do they call them? Like swing skills.
Yeah,
It's like how well he plays on defense, right? What his playmaking turns into, what he can do off ball, and what he can do as like a spacer. If those swing skills hit for Green, I think his potential becomes a lot higher just because of how much a guard impacts the game, like on
right,
ball in like those
right.
late game situations. I think Mobley is going to have a more consistent effect if he doesn't hit his peak outcomes in a lot of the swing skills because his swing skills are more like taking him from someone who's like a top 15, top 10 center to someone who's like a top 5, top 3 center.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I view them each as prospects.
Real quick,
yeah,
just
I mean,
something. You can go.
uh, yeah, one thing, like one small thing that I think has to be mentioned about Mobley is that he doesn't foul. He just doesn't. Like
Yep.
centers who don't foul, like at the rate of his blocking ability and the lack of fouling. I mean, you got Anthony Davis and Nerlens Noel for the past like 10 years, and that already guarantees to me that he's going to be an awesome defender at the NBA level. I mean, Nerlens Noel has terrible ends, and he can't do anything offensively. It's annoying to watch. But on defense, like he's an all NBA defender just because he's so good at protecting the rim and he doesn't foul. And to me, like if Mobley, like the absolute, like barring injuries, because injuries could win everything. But if he doesn't get injured, to me, he's a Nerlens Noel type defender who's like a better version of Nicholas Claxton, kind of offensively, I want to say, who's at least a Capella type offensively. And that already is such a good player that I think Mobley is by far the safer pick.
Something I wanted to add on real quick about Green, right? So I'm on Team Mobley again, but something I think I disagree with on people, or I disagree with, is I think Green actually increased his stock going to the G League because something. Sorry, there's so much draft content I've been like consuming lately. I don't know how to source properly, but someone smart I listened to said something about how playing in the G League, like they played actual like smarter defenses than in college, right? And going from like high school to the G League, like this is a really great thing for Jalen. That like although he did struggle in the start, like defensively especially, I think he's actually going to be a good defender, or at least average. I think so. I'm not low on Green's defensive abilities because if he still showed a lot of good things by the end, on such a hard defensive level, I guess that's a really good thing for him. But something I guess I disagree with, I guess with people is people saying that Mobley isn't really going to do much offensively because he isn't strong or he isn't big, and that's fair. But I think people need to, I guess, think about how there are multiple there's like multiple clips I've seen on Twitter which are so insane to me where he's legitimately shooting down, which is ridiculous. Like that height, like I get it in the NBA that are taller people that are bigger guys, but like Mobley shooting down is insane at the height he is. So he'll still be able to get like 10-foot shots, I think, offensively, which should help him.
So when I was watching a bunch of the Mobley tape, I was definitely like, it was very apparent to me that like he was like the most physically gifted person on most of the teams he was playing against because I mean you're just not going to have that many like super athletic 7-footers in the college game when you're playing against Washington State right on a random week or like even a smaller school like in the Western Conference something like that. But when he gets to NBA, he's going to have a lot more consistent level of centers that he's playing against in terms of their size and strength. So I think he will have some time where he's going to have to adapt to that. And I think in the meantime, he does have a baseline of, like we said, he has some level of handle, some level of passing. I think he can rely on those tools to kind of work smarter rather than trying to go through guys
Right.
until he gets his strength up.
So
Yeah.
real quick, I have a
So
question. You're pro Green, you guys. I think two of you guys are. So
yeah.
something I've
Yeah.
heard, or something that I noticed, I guess I've only seen two full Green games, and then I've seen I think like two PD Web or one of the PD Web breakdowns and a few podcasts. So something people I guess brought up repeatedly would be Green's reliance on creating big space, which makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Like that gives him because he has a really quick first. I think he has the fastest first step probably in the draft. So that obviously makes sense. And sometimes how whenever he encounters small space, he turns back. And of course, like he'll improve at that the stronger he gets. But a lot of people have been saying that in order to get Green to succeed, first off in the NBA, you're gonna have tilted floor situations, kind of.
We
Like, do
missed,
we
and
think?
I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone
So
else
you
did, but
cut
we
you cut
missed the
out a
last
little
four
bit. Yeah.
seconds.
You
Yeah.
cut out a little bit.
Oh, apologies. I was saying
Right before
how.
you said tilted floor.
Yeah, so I was just saying, how do we think that like him needing a tilted floor offensively in the beginning is going to affect like his growth, I guess, as an on-ball creator?
So for me, because I was watching like a big like an hour long mega cut of Green earlier. Um, I know exactly what you're talking about in terms of like when he gets on ball pressured, his handle kind of like doesn't hold up to that, and he will bring the ball back. I don't think there's anything bad with necessarily resetting. When I was watching today, I did notice that he has a tendency to try to work back to his right hand when he's finishing, and I think he will need to become less like right hand dominant as a finisher because usually when he's going left, he'll like use his right hand and then kind of shield finish, or he'll just go for the dunk or go for like a floater. So I think that's one area that his finishing does need to improve on, and obviously his handling to take a leap as well. But um, it really seems like with his first step that he knows how to use that so well that he hasn't really had to be more physical. But I think learning how to be more physical at the point of attack and learning how to really come off screens better, because that was the issue that I noticed first of all, is that like he'd go really wide around the screens, wouldn't put his defender in jail at all. And so like when he would get into like those situations like where he'd get around there, that defender was able to recover quicker because he didn't have to get all the way over the screen or make a decision to go under. It was like obviously what they were going to have to do because he created so much space. But at the same time, like his space creation is so good that it let him get away with that, even against like the G League level guys who were really trying to use their strength to body him up and force him to use the screens. So that's some of the way I view him. Prodigy, you want to go?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I'm listening. I've been listening to y'all talk about this, and I just every time each of you brings these very valid points up, like you're bringing these points for Green, and I'm thinking, well, that shouldn't be too much trouble for him to learn. I believe he can get that pretty quickly. I think the way he's learned so far, I think those concepts will be easy to get. And every time you talk about Mobley, I feel like it's so much more less likely. Okay, this doesn't make any sense. Whatever. It's so less likely that he'll he can like make the improvements necessary for those skills to translate to the NBA level. Like I know you guys said his NBA level had a lot of stuff, but I think like it's harder to I think it's harder to see how defense will translate to the NBA level than it is to see scoring. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but I don't know. It's just in my brain it works that way. But anyway, I think Itamar wanted to touch on our late round picks before we went off. So we've been going for like 2 hours already. So I
Yeah.
should probably transition into that.
Yep.
So I'll start with I'll throw up. Oh no, I wanted to ask you guys about the guy that just worked out with the Rockets or published a photo in the Rockets gear today. What's his name?
Bones Howard.
Bones
Oh,
Highland.
Bones
Yeah.
Highland, yeah.
I haven't looked into him at all. I know Itamar's talked about him quite a bit. I wanted to maybe talk a little bit about him since it's really fresh and people probably haven't heard his name that much.
All right,
Um,
I have two words kind of to describe his game, and those words are Emmanuel quickly. I mean, the two are incredibly similar as prospects. They've played together. I think the archetype of the player is kind of the same. Of a guard who is kind of small, but he has length. He's a great shooter. He has a good floater touch. Like I think for obviously every player is different, and I think and all of that. But if you do want to imagine what Bones would look like in the NBA, I think quickly is a good comparison for him. But he's a guy who I would consider. I don't know if I would want him with the 23rd or 24th picks, but just because of what's going to be available, I imagine there will be two better players available, but
yeah,
maybe not. Maybe they're high on him. And just the pull-up shooting alone and the fact in length is an ability to pass a little. Like he's a little similar to Trey Mann in some ways, and that
yes,
type of player is someone who I'm very intrigued by. Just again, because again, we saw this playoff how valuable pull-up shooting is. Like if you're a guard and you're not a threat from the three-point land, then you kind of lost unless you're extremely good at like slashing or playmaking or you have an elite skill. Otherwise, then you're probably pretty screwed. And Bones has that. He also has a great name combo with Jay Sean Tate, like Nashon and Jay Sean.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't
I
know
didn't
if
think
you
about
can
that,
pass that
yeah.
out.
Real quick, I'll hop off after this.
All right.
I think Bones is really good, and I feel like he'll be one of those people that nobody will really want at 23 or 24, but will easily, like, after one day of film watching, people will be like, yes, we love him. Because, like, some of the shots he's taken, like, I know his percentages aren't up there with Kispert and Wieskamp and all of them when it comes to three-point shooting, but I think this guy's definitely taken, along with, like, Trey Mann, probably the hardest three-point shots out of everybody in his class to like. And something I had heard about him was the reason he didn't get drafted earlier, like as a freshman after his freshman year, was because he just wouldn't get to the free throw line like at all. Like it was like CJ McCollum level, and he improved on that, which I think is a really good sign. Like he's at a really good level now at his free throw rate. So the pull up shooting, like Idmar said, and just the pull up shooting and the free throw creation, I think is going to be a good player. So Yeah.
Where would you rank him? Two things. First, defense. Does he? I know he has a big wingspan, so you'll probably say he has good defensive potential. I wanted to ask about that, and I wanted to ask about, like, amongst other guards, and I'll name a few that are projected to maybe be available in that range. So out of him, Trey Mann, Springer, Butler,
Cam
and
Thomas.
Cam Thomas, yeah,
Yeah.
and Cooper. Like, out of those, 1, 2, 3. How many did I name again? It's
I
two
think it's like
for me.
5 or 6.
I
Out
mean,
of
I
those,
have like, I mean, right, keep going. I will answer that later.
no, I was just finishing the question. Now, like, out of those 6, where would you rank him?
Oh,
Like,
Josh
Well,
Christopher.
I
I just got tagged in a post saying Josh Christopher as well.
yeah, just Christopher too.
yeah. For me, I like yesterday or 2 days ago, I posted my big board that I made of my top 30 players. I'm not like hugely confident about it. I know it will change, and I'm not like really a draft person who does so much research. Like I mostly try to listen to smart people, watch some tape, mix in my analysis, go from there. But if I like ranking every single guard in the draft, my ranking is Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, Moody if he's a guard, Book Knight, then you get Mann, Springer, um, Duarte, Butler, Cooper, Mitchell, and only then I have him. I do have him over Christopher and over
Cam
Cam
Thomas.
Thomas. Yeah, I think
Over.
it's close with
Okay.
Christopher. I'm not really high on Cam personally because I mean that's shot selection and I don't know about the defense.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
So to you, he isn't even in consideration because surely not one of those guys is going to fall. Like,
I
those guys
mean,
can't
I
all
have
go
him
ahead of him.
27. I have him
Yeah.
27 personally. So personally, like I wouldn't draft him
Mute,
just
please,
based off that
Thomas.
logic. What?
Sorry, Thomas, mute, please.
Who's Thomas?
I just pulled him. He was our last speaker request. I just pulled him up. There we go. All right, go
No,
ahead.
my,
Go
my,
ahead.
my, my app is all bugged out. So
Yeah.
if I stop listening to you, like, I'm listening
Okay.
to
No problem.
Itamar and is muted for
Oh
me
shit!
on the app.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm in here.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Sorry, man. I'm at work and I was just listening along and I forgot that I.
That
Okay.
you speaker requested.
But yeah,
Okay.
no,
No
I can
problem.
talk for like 2 seconds. So what we were talking about? What exactly?
Late game or late guards in the draft. So like who
Oh
you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
see at like 23 or 24.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been high on Jaden Springer for a while. I know I've heard some people like kind of being down on him because I feel like he's a lot of people's like late first darling. Like everyone wants him back there. But I mean, he's so young. I like his bounce. I like his shot. Um, I think he'd be a great pick for the Rockets. I know Trey Mann also popular pick. You already talked about him. I feel like he's being a bit slept on, honestly. I think
Yeah,
he's like
person.
maybe a
Yeah.
late lottery talent, but if he falls to 23 or 24, I'd be a happy man.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've seen an article like a couple of days ago where teams view Springer as like the next DeAnthony Melton, and so they want to let him slip
Yeah,
to the
I
second
saw that
round.
too.
And like DeAnthony Melton is a really, really good player. Like he probably should start for the Grizzlies is how good he is. He's a great defender with some like a really good from free. So I don't understand that. But Springer, like I have him 14 on my board. I think I'm really high on him. I think his defense, like from E1, is going to be extremely good. I think he's so young that he has those skills that he can develop, and his ceiling because of it is high. I don't know how much, like I don't ever envision him being more than a role player, but like if I had again to compare him, which comparison aren't the best, but I do think they help me illustrate my point. Jason Tate is a guard at 18. Like, that's kind of it. I feel like he's very similar to Jason. He does a lot of the things that Jason does, but he's 7 years younger.
And
So,
his shooting splits will go out better
yeah,
than
yeah,
Tate's.
yeah. It's funny because I think in this draft there are two players who are very similar to Tate. You got Jaden Springer and Usman Garuba, who I think both are. I'm high on both because, well, I've seen how good Tate is, and they're much younger and already at that level. But yeah, Springer and Main are two guys I'm high on. In general, I think the Rockets should draft a guard at 23 or 24 because I mean you look at what's going to be available. Uh, Most of the good gets at that range are guards. Like Jared Butler, I hope he's doing well. I know he has heart problems. Hopefully he sorts everything out. But if he is available to play, I think he's a great pick. Sharif Cooper, if he falls, it's a great pick. Bones, Davion Mitchell. I mean, he's not going to fall that much, but I would take him there. Um, because I mean, you got many guard picks, and with wings, it's mostly four, who I love, and Trey Murphy. So I think the Rockets should, like the way I see it, in my opinion, the draft should be like you taking Mobley with the second pick, you taking a guard at 23 or 24, and then you take probably like Murphy or four or the best non-guard available. Like obviously, if you do think the two best players available are guards, you probably take them. But like the way I see it is a center, a Mobley with two, a guard, and then a wing is probably the most ideal draft.
Yeah, I want to make a quick point, like in like some seconds, and I'm going to have to like go away for like 5 minutes, and I'll come back. I wanted to say, so at 23 and 24, um, I think you definitely want to take a guard, but if let's say if Springer, Cooper, Trey Mann, and Jared Butler are already out, I think I wouldn't mind if they were both there taking Trey Murphy and um, what's his name, Zaire Williams. I don't know how you would feel about that. This happened in me and Knox mock yesterday. They were both available, and most of the good cards were already gone. So we decided to, he picked a wing, and I decided, well, I don't think there's anyone better, so I'll pick a wing too. And I really don't think that would be too bad, considering both of them are really long and maybe could slide to the floor if needed. So just wanted to count that. Like, I wouldn't mind drafting those two wings if they're both available, if they both fall.
Yeah, Zaire is someone who, I mean, if he falls, you take Zaire. I don't think there are much questions about it. A 6'8", 6'10" guy with such great shooting touch, and I mean, a good defensive projection. I think it's a no-brainer. Yeah, I mean, the good thing about this draft is it's deep. It's really deep. There are going to be two good players who fall. We're gonna fall to 23 and 24. So unless like only centers are left or something drastic happens, I think the Rockets will have two good prospects they could pick if those picks, and yeah, then you can go.
What's going on, Nima? What are your thoughts on these late
What's up,
guards,
y'all? How
picks
y'all
23,
doing?
24? Doing well, man. How about yourself?
I don't know. I can't hear anybody talking, so I don't know if any of y'all are talking.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Say something.
Yeah.
See if we can hear y'all.
But
Oh, it's Nemo. Let's go.
yeah. What's up? How you doing?
There we go. You can at least hear Prodigy.
I don't know who you guys have talked about. I just hopped in.
We talked about Bones. We talked about Springer mainly, and Zaire Williams, I think.
I like Bones a lot. Did you guys see that the Rockets worked him out?
Yeah, we had just finished saying like it's cool. He's a cool prospect, but probably not at 23 or 24. Probably we have out of the 6 or 7 guards that are projected to go that high, that low on the
I agree.
on the draft.
It seems like Bones is kind of flying up that board.
Would you take him? Like, let me ask you the same question.
I don't know. I don't even know if he'll be available by then. Like,
But if you were, would you take him over? How many of these guys would you take him?
I mean, it depends on who's left over. Like, I think if Sharif Cooper's there, you probably take him. If Trey Mann's there, you probably take him. But I would take him over Ayo. I would take him over Duarte.
Yeah.
I would take him over, probably over McBride, although I love McBride.
Let me throw some names at you. Springer, Butler,
I take Springer
Trayman.
probably over Bones, but I think if both of them are there 23, 24, I might just take both of them. Who was the other one you threw out?
I threw out Man,
I take
Butler.
Man. Butler, I don't know. Realistically, I think he's one of the better prospects in this draft, but it all depends on that heart.
Yeah, if he's available, of course.
Yeah,
the last one is Christopher.
it could be like a Jeff Green situation where like he just doesn't amount to as much as he should have because of it, and if that's the case, then like I don't know. There's my thing with a lot of guys in this draft. Like I'm making my board right now. I'm at 50. I'm probably going to finish up by the end of the night. But I have Kispert at 25 because, and it's not even that I don't think Kispert's good. I think he's going to be great in the NBA because of his skill set. I just think there's a lot to a lot of the guys in this draft, if that makes sense. Like, there's just so much that they can be. And that's how I feel about a lot of dudes. And that's how I feel about Bones. Like, I think Bones' potential is insane. Compared to like some of the other guards in this draft. But I kind of don't really want to take a guard back there. Like if Thor is at 23, I'm taking Thor. I don't care if it's a reach.
It's not a reach, IMO.
We were talking about this earlier. Like, there's just so few
I don't
centers
think
in
it's
this
reach
draft
either.
that people are going to get overdrafted at some point.
And so you take like a big and a wing, probably, if they're available.
I would say a big and a wing, but that's also with the mindset of take Green at 2.
Oh, you're Green gang too, nice.
Yeah, that changes like every couple days. So right now,
like most of us.
Yeah, right now I'm with Green. This is probably the longest streak, like consecutive amount of days that I've been on the same player, though. So
that's progress.
I haven't jumped back to the Mobley mob any time recently. Although I can be convinced easily, probably.
Man, I think that you take like the two best players at 23 and 24, regardless of position. Knowing our scouting team, yeah.
I agree,
Go ahead.
but I think if you have KPJ and you have you have Jalen Green, that's a lot of guards to develop at the same time, especially like ball handling guards at the same time. I think you go for the best available talent. You just do it in different positions.
Maybe.
I think the gap isn't big enough for there to be a clear best guy unless someone crazy falls.
Yeah, unless it's somebody that like was like supposed to be top 15 or top
like
14,
a Jalen Johnson,
like slipped down. Yeah, like if somebody like that, or Jalen Johnson would be perfect. That's the kind of guy I want. But I'm saying like for example, if like if fucking like Davion Mitchell, for example, slides down to like 23, you take Davion Mitchell because he's at 23. Like. If it's like if it's a bunch of guys who you're like they're 24, 25, and 26 on my big board, but like 24 and 25 are guards, and you already took 2 guards in the draft, like just take the guy that's 26. Like unless there's like a huge like difference to you. To me, a lot of the guys between like 20 and 35, it's a crapshoot. Just take whoever you're most comfortable with.
Same. I think the same.
Yeah, with our scouting team, like we pretty much have draft Twitter, like doing our scouting for us, which I love it personally. Like I've seen these guys get hits after hits in the draft when teams couldn't, and you see how Memphis. I don't know if it's that related, but Memphis has taken the guys that draft Twitter have wanted to. Like they've taken draft Twitter's favorite prospects, and it's gone pretty damn well for them. Xavier Tillman, they traded for Melton, they pick up Jaren Jackson Jr., the Grayson Allen. Like they got some good guys. They got for Desmond Bain for a very cheap value. I do think there will be someone who falls drastically who's going to be available. at least on Houston's board. Like, I think that's something that usually happens. And I don't know how much similar to consensus the board of the Rockets will be. So maybe I do think someone falls, and maybe you see like a surprising pick, possibly. But uh, I'm, I have to say, I'm not worried like at all about the draft or who we're gonna pick because I have full faith in Rafael Stone and our scouting team to make the right decision. And we'll go from there. But I'm feeling optimistic about this.
Yeah, last season I'd say the guy that fell was R.J. Hampton, who was mocked higher on a lot of mocks, and he ended up falling to 24. Like I wanted to, since we have like
Yeah, but RJ Hampton, like, I don't know. I think now that he's in Orlando, I don't think he's gonna do great until he gets out of there. Like that's the thing. What I'm saying about like you can't have a bunch of guards because look at Orlando right now. They could end up having 5 or 6 by the end of the fucking draft. But they have like Markel who they need to develop. They have Cole who they need to develop, and now they also have RJ. And like yeah, you can run like RJ at the 2, I guess, or Cole at the 2. But like if you get a like Keon Johnson or like something like that in the draft, like it makes it tougher for you to develop a guy like RJ. And so that's why I would stay away from drafting like 5 guards. You know, like
like we have like 20 minutes left before Knock has to go, and we've been going a while for like 2 hours now. So I'd like to ask each of you, in a perfect world without any major guys falling, who's your dream at 23 and 24? I'll start my dream would probably be, if Butler doesn't make it to the draft, my dream would probably be either Springer or Trey Mann and Trey Murphy. And I don't think that's reaching too much. Anyone want to go?
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably Man because, like, out of prospects who may fall, I do think Man belongs there. It's like to the type of. I've seen him in the second round in some mocks. I've seen him in the lottery in others. So he's kind of all over the map. I've also seen Book Knight fall, which if he's available, I think like you maybe trade up for him because like to me, Book Knight is Jalen Green light in a lot of facets. Like you look at a scorer who can score in all 3 ways, and you know from all 3 areas of the floor. Off the ball, on the ball, he's athletic. He can throw down lobs, space creates, and his passing is problematic a little bit. I mean, more than Green's, and his defense I'm not sure about as well. But like, I think he projects to be a really good scorer. And he's someone I'll probably trade up for if I can. But uh, I do think the dream is probably I'd say Man and 4 and JT. I don't know. You say 4.
And we got you.
Yeah, I think that's probably for me because I mean, with
shit.
4, I think he's going to have such a high ceiling that again he's kind of like Mobley that is good in a lot of stuff, and if only some of those stuff actually turn out well, and he's going to be a good player, like there's a good chance he's just a very nice defender, a good shooter, a great rim protector, transition player with like a lot of his combos. I mean, he's a unicorn kind of, and because he's actually a wing and not a big, and he's so versatile, he's someone I would take in any scenario if he's available. Like if JT4 is available, I'm probably taking him no matter if we are picked earlier, no matter what, unless there are 2 guys who I'm higher on still available.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about him. Otherwise, I would have gone with him over Trey Murphy, but whatever.
Yeah. All right. Y'all can hear me still, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So my guys I would like to get at 23 and 24 are Zaire Williams and Greg Brown. I know Greg Brown's kind of a reach, but I think he has a lot of upside, and I feel like we need to start going at small forward, power forward right now. If you want to construe Christian Wood as a center, I think we need something in that 3-4 range. Obviously, we have KJ and Tate, but I think KJ, I could see splitting time either way at the 3 or the 4. I think Tate probably more a 3. And I've also been one that like I could see Tate being like a sixth man type of guy with how versatile he is offensively, especially if his shot can come around because he can pass, he can do some work out of the post and kind of do some creation for you as well. So those are the two guys I would like I said, Zaire Williams and Greg Brown.
I agree with Zaire. I would probably take Zaire and JT Thor. I think that would be cool. I will say there's two guys that I want in the second round. One of them, everybody, like all of y'all know, I'm obsessed with Friends. I think he's going to be really fucking good. I think it's going to take a little bit, but I think he's going to be really good. And another guy I really like is EJ Onu. I think if we can pick up like a second rounder or two, and like just stash them in the G League for a year, I would love that. EJ Onu, he played in the NAIA, but he averaged like 17 and 8 shot. He's 7'1", I believe, a 7'5" wingspan. He has like a grown NBA body already. He shot 40% from 3, and he averaged 5 blocks per game. I don't care what level of basketball you're playing in. If you shoot 40% from 3 at 7 feet tall, can guard all like not all 5 positions, but he's switchable, and then also get 5 blocks per game. You have my attention. So
Would you consider trading, like we talked about this on the other one? I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it. Would you trade 24 for 34 and 36?
so what I would do is make a deal with Brooklyn. Brooklyn has all those second rounders, so I would trade 23, let them pick at 23, and then take I believe they're 26, 27, something like that. They're
Yeah,
somewhere
they have 27, they have
27, yeah.
44, they have
Yeah, I would
49 and 59.
I would do like 23 for 27, 44, and 49, or 27 and 44 even, and then pick someone else back at 44. I mean either 23 or 24, it doesn't really matter. But I'm cool with trading down a couple spots in the first round, and then also picking up a second rounder. One thing about Vrenz is he played with Tate. If like the way the team seems to be working in terms of like recruitment, I think Tate's probably in Stone's ear about this guy because I don't see how he isn't.
Yeah, he might be.
For me personally, I would be probably more interested in trading up depending on who fell. Like we talked about Jalen Johnson earlier, right? Like if Jalen
I
Johnson
would
were to
trade
start
up for Jalen
sliding,
Johnson. Yes.
yeah, if he were to slide into the mid to late lottery, I think I'd be interested in trading up for that. If a guy like that doesn't fall and the board kind of like works against us, I think the trade y'all propose are pretty interesting. I haven't looked at who all has seconds, but trading back into the second round or even trading back maybe into like next year, 2023, I think I wouldn't be opposed to doing that with one of those first rounders either.
Oh,
Trade
I have
House for a second. I'm gonna bring that up already. Like, I think Daniel House. I'm grateful for what he's done for us. Like the promise he's shown in 2019, some of the good moments last year. Game 2 against the Lakers was fine before he got too horny, but in general, like I think trading House is the way. And some guy I would also really like in the second one is in second round. I'm not sure if I'm gonna pronounce his name correctly. It's Julian Champagne, something like that.
Oh, the guy
Champagne.
is that the guy that was
Champagne, yeah,
at the G League thingy?
yeah. It was the combine.
Oh, the combine. That's
He's
right.
Yeah.
yeah, he's 6'8". He's a good shooter. He's free throws. Like I think he shot like over 90%, 88% from the line this season. It's kind of gone unnoticed. Like I think he has the potential to be a Chris Middleton type if things turn out well. He's someone I'd be interested in taking. There are some guys I like there. Quentin Grimes is an option, as we mentioned in the previous Green episode. I don't know about his fit in Houston as much, but he's going to be a good player for sure. He's going to be a 3 and D guy, especially with the free and versatility. that I'll be interested. Uh, it depends on the price. Like wouldn't really particularly I can't talk. I wouldn't trade uh, for a first for a second, even if we do have 23 and 24, and we feel like we're good and we want more young talent. Like I would rather try and trade maybe House for a second,
Yeah,
or
that
maybe
makes
or cash
sense.
consideration, something like that, because I feel like again my point that I made the last time is that this team is really good at finding undervalued young talent that like how the Rockers are going to be solid role players like Jay Sean and KJ. But when it comes to high end talent, those are guys you only acquire if a crazy incident happens, like Kevin Porter Jr., or if you get a top pick in the draft. So those are mostly the guys I'm looking for to see if someone like that falls, like Jalen Johnson, Zay Williams, James Booknight, and if not, Josh Giddey, and if not, then you can trade up for them
I have a
or just stay. But trading down is not something I'm interested in really.
I have a question for y'all that I've been thinking about a little bit. I'm still very much only really thinking about Green versus Mobley, but does the idea of Suggs with Silas kind of interest y'all a little bit?
It interests me more from the perspective of Suggs and KPJ, or Suggs in that Kyle Lowry model for the
Yeah,
Rockets.
but look, if you look at the point guards that Silas has worked with, like Suggs fits that mold, like, and not like in
Kemba,
terms of, not in terms
Steph.
of like the style of play, but like he's like a
Of being a
perfect
point
point
guard,
guard for Silas, in my opinion. I don't
I
know.
mean, I just don't think he's close to being the better prospect at the second or at third spot because I think he's a notch below where Mobley and Green.
I agree.
And he,
If we were to take him, we would probably have to trade back. I wouldn't take him at 2, but it
he
still excites me
yeah,
a little bit.
yeah. I mean, Suggs, like the one point about Suggs that I saw someone bring up, and I'm not sure if I agree or not, but it's interesting. The point is, say that you're trying to trade to put all of your chips in one draft, and you're making a crazy trade to get one guy with alongside the second pick, like say the third pick or the fourth pick while keeping the second pick. Maybe because I mean it's possible. It just depends on how much you're willing to pay. Then what someone brought up is that maybe Suggs is a better fit to play with Mobley and KPJ than Green is, which I think is an interesting point. But generally, like unless Toronto is interested in a trade, I don't think, or unless Suggs falls a little bit, I don't think I'm really interested in picking him just because there are gonna be better prospects on the board and there's going to be better value elsewhere. Like I think Springer at 14 is better value than Suggs at 4.
I think that I think that you could make a deal with Toronto if you threw in enough on top of Christian Wood. Like Christian Wood fits a need, and at the same time, like if you throw in enough picks that they feel like they have an offer for an actual star, I think you could convince Toronto if you threw enough on top of Wood. It's just a matter of how much are you willing to throw on top of Wood. Like to me, the only thing I wouldn't be willing to throw on top of Wood for pick 4 is our picks in 23 and 24, and probably Brooklyn in 27 and the swap in 26. No, the swap in 27 and the pick in 26. That's probably the only untouchable things I wouldn't throw on top. All those other picks I'd probably throw on top, and maybe Toronto bites and tries to turn those picks plus some of their own plus salary filler they already have
Did you
for
have
one of the.
Did you have the 2023 Brooklyn pick in there?
No, I didn't. I'd be willing
Okay,
to.
yeah, that went out. Really?
I'd be willing to trade that one just because you're going to have to throw in one of the valuable picks, and I think 26 and 27 are like more likely to be good picks.
2023 is not going to be as good as it
Yeah,
should have been as well because the double draft's not happening.
Well, the
yeah.
double draft was supposed to be 2022, I thought,
It's
but
it,
obviously that didn't happen either. So,
it was supposed to be 2022 and then it was supposed to be 2023 and now
And
the
then it's
NIL
not
shit
happening.
happened. And now that the
so,
NIL shit happened, it's not happening.
so
Like,
my interest in 2023 is more for Bates, which like
yeah, but that Brooklyn pick's not going to be big. I don't know. I think the Nets are still together for 2023.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think you ultimately with this offer you try to overwhelm them with, oh, this is a lot of picks, not maybe not these are probably good picks. I think this is something you throw at them for them to use these picks or sending them and the picks they have they like themselves, and maybe they bring back Kyle Lowry and they back at Van Vliet and I don't know, and who else they have. Van Vliet and Gary Trent Jr. on a sign and trade plus all of those picks, and they get a star. If someone shakes loose, like they did with Kawhi, and all of a sudden they have Anunoby, Wood, they have Siakam, and they have that star, and they have Lowry. So that's a really good team. And if they feel like that trade gets them like closer to that team, I think they do it because it's the Raptors. They aren't really going to tank, so that Kalen service doesn't really change that much for them, in my opinion.
I mean, do you
It's
like them
all
as a
fun and
Dame
games.
landing spot?
I do. I think it's
all
one
fun and games, and wait. It's all fun and games, and Kyrie Irving retires at age 31 because he's tired of the game of basketball. I I can totally see something like that happening.
like what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think he's talking about for
Like
2023, right? Like if Kyrie Irving was just to
Oh,
randomly retire, then you never know how the
yeah, I mean,
Nets are
I think
gonna.
I don't know if I just think the Nets picks there's so much that can happen. Like we saw this year, Kevin Durant play for the entire game multiple times. We saw Harden not be able to run, literally can't run in the most important playoff game. We saw Kyrie how to do due to injury. I mean, we don't know what will happen with the Nets picks. Personally, I am going to be willing to trade them because I mean almost all of them because I think there's also a good chance that they won't suck. And I know teams would be very intrigued with those picks that if you can sell high on that asset, I would consider it. And but in general, yeah, I mean trading for Suggs is and going all in on one draft is something that interests me because everyone's going to be on the same timeline. They will pick at the same time. The team should be well balanced, and that's
and
kind of what the Thunder did with Durant, Russ, and Harden. They went for the same draft, but they had the same timeline. So, and we all know if they didn't actually let Harden go, they would have a dynasty, and that's kind of what I'm interested.
yeah, and we're on a rush to be competent by 2024. So having the talent sooner makes us good sooner as well.
Yeah,
So there's also that. I on it's 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. almost, and you just got me excited to jump into the trade machine and try to figure something out with what I just said. But anyway, I think we're reaching that point where we gotta
Yeah.
wrap it up.
Yep. Y'all want to do final thoughts? Then we can head out.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun being here once again. I hope we do this more again in the future. It's actually really fun, and it's actually fun. It's actually really interesting to see how much our talk changed from last week to this week. Just because a couple IG lives and then a couple draft prospects posted pictures with Rockets shorts and stuff like that. So I think this is cool. I enjoyed talking with y'all. I thank the people that joined us and those guys who came up and talked to us. I hope we can do this more often.
yeah, it was great. Uh, yeah, I mean, final things to say is Mobley Mob, and uh, yeah, I think the Rockets are in a good spot. I think before this started, a lot of fans, including me, said, okay, once Harden leaves, we're going to be screwed. We're going to have Tillman driving this team into the ground. It's going to be Robert Sarver. We're going to be the Suns. And it's going to take 10 years for us to make the playoffs. And just based on what happened so far, signing Wood, getting KPJ, drafting KJ, signing Tate, and on everything that's happened, I think there's a lot of reason to believe in this team and hope. We're probably going to be back until in 2024, max in the playoffs. So there are a lot of things to be encouraged about, and yeah.
So just to do some final wrapping up, I definitely agree that we'll be back, in the mix in 2024. I think the tenor of the whole fan base really changed once we kept our pick, and it's just so good to be arguing over Green or Mobley versus arguing, who are we going to try to maybe trade up from 18 for. So I'm really happy with where things are right now. Like you said, we're seeing all these IG lives and people with Rockets gear on, and it's exciting, and we get to do all this. I'm meeting so many new people that talk about the draft that, we haven't talked to any of those people because the Rockets haven't even had a draft pick since 2015 in the first round. So, final stuff, just follow, follow Itamar, follow Prodigy. Everyone that's in the chat right now, follow me, and then mention me on Twitter. I'll follow back, and we'll get y'all,
Hey,
let
something
you know
before we go.
when we do the
We,
next one. So, yeah,
we're
go
gonna
ahead.
come up with something for these people to tweet at Jackson Gatlin because he didn't show up today. What are they going to tweet? What are we all going to tweet after we exit the